It has been a time, uh, a very interesting time, fitting very much with your occupation as being astral sea swashbuckling fellows. What better way to take out the stresses of a long voyage than getting into a life or death bar brawl with a small army of pirates? And so you did burn that motherfucker down. You it, I don't think, yeah, three fireballs will do that. You guys successfully fended off this uh, little squad of monsters, and Captain Rockham ran with what remained of his, excuse me, of his buddies, with his tail between his legs. Ha 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 ha. You did take into capture after he pleaded and begged for his life one of the pirates who took you all to Shadowtown, a neighborhood down here in the slums that is the base of operations for the cult of Hecate. You met with the High Oracle Nasara, who was interested to find Ethereth's divine calling to be here, and comparing it with your companion, the cult of Hecate Sir Vivara. Uh, she decided that Vivara would be accepted back into the cult. Her suspension sort of ended, and that each witch of the cult would be able to decide for herself what Hecate wants of the fate of Edyord's brother, the strange rock man. Life or death, Etherith or the High Oracle is their choice. So you took some time to view the cult's gathering place, which involved going to their library of despicable lore. And Basson had a rather interesting encounter looking into a mirror that showed her roads not yet walked down and doors that were never opened. And maybe had a little moment with that. So that is where we pick up today, as you are all within the space of the cult of Hecate. So let us continue from there. What would anyone like to do as you find yourselves here in the Umbral Sanctuary?
I believe Etherith was sort of taken aside by the High Oracle to go to like a inner sanctum thing.
Most certain. I got a meeting with Hecate and Uter Sanctum of Umbral Power. Yes, indeed, you do. Okay, let's go take a little look at that. So you follow the cultist wearing her mask, her three-faced mask, and she'll take you to down the winding halls uh, to, oh, sorry, a private sanctum. Inside, you see it is none too large. The space is really only really meant for not many individuals. It is a small candlelit chamber with three stone thrones on a elevated dais on the back wall. They face not only you, the door, but the space in between, which is a pool of black water that seems to lay perfectly still between the candlelit wall like a mirror. And the room is, despite the amount of candles lit in here, which is substantial, the room is very cold. There's a chill in the air that you almost felt as you walked through the doorway. The threshold almost seemed to turn to this temperature. The High Oracle will say, "This is the sanctum of the Triune. This is where I commune directly with Hecate when she deems it worthy. I would allow you to use the space if you chose."
Thank you. Um, it's quite something. I've never seen anything like it.
We take our worship seriously. Do you require instruction, or are you able to use this facility with your own knowledge?
I can manage myself. Thank you.
Very well. I shall leave you. And so she does. A curtain sort of falls behind you, and you are left inside of this cold sanctum.
Ethereth kind of observe the water and sort of flip their staff around so that it does essentially resemble the key more than usual, and will sort of step towards the water's edge.
It is a
And
large pool, by the way, as a quick note. It
yeah,
is a good, like, 10-foot diameter, perfectly circular.
Ethereth will wade in
Uh, the
into the
water
very
is. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
um wade in sort of like to get to the very center of the circle.
The water is bitter cold.
Good,
It's very
good
much like a half circle bowl. What is your Dragonborn resistance for?
cold as it happens.
Ah, almost like uh, it was meant to be.
Yeah,
You dip your foot, and like I said, the frame of the pool is like a perfect half circle. So
yeah,
your foot immediately goes pretty deep in before, and it like before it sits on the wall like that,
yeah.
pretty much up to the like halfway up the upper thigh.
Mm.
And for the normal person, this would be like dagger piercingly cold. It is very chilled water. If anything, it should be frozen, but it's not. But
Mm.
for you, it's quite pleasant.
Uh,
And you wade into the water with ease. The water takes you to a depth of, I would say, just below chest level for you.
mm.
Um, you wade into the center, ripples cascade on the surface, the water displaces and flows over into the chamber just a little bit.
And this might take a little bit of like I guess sort of logistics in that I'm going to cast Mage Hand and have that hold my staff for a little bit.
All right, understood. You kind of, as you're wading in, you kind of just like let go of the staff and then kind of begin to wade into the water as it almost floats around you with the mage hand.
And then once I'm like in the center, I'll have the Mage Hand kind of I'll mutter like a prayer to Hecate. It's like at the seat of your worship, I beg of thee, Lady of the Night, Witch of the Crossroads, I wish to speak with you. And I'll have the mage hand sort of plunge the key staff into the water and twist as if opening a door.
Very nice. Plunges into the water, and as you twist it, the water, how best to explain it? The water almost seems to like pull around it, like in a whirlpool like motion, as if the water suddenly gains, it doesn't solidify, but a little bit. Um, and sort of pulls around the key as it turns, and the water begins to swirl around the key. And it is sort of sucked into the water and pulled into the water, and the water does begin to twist and circle around you, um, very very eerily consistently.
Mm.
And it begins to glow with a faint light, a white light, silvery light, which is different. And much like the moon, the entire space around you almost seems to become like the moon itself, this large circle of lights with moonlight. And as you look up at the three thrones, you will see the Mother Maiden Crone seated uh, high above you, like a queen giving testimony to her subject. And that isn't far from the truth of what's going on. She looks down at you. They look down at you. You have found your siblings, it seems.
It's been a long road, but this place is, dare I say, it almost feels like home.
I'm glad you're settling in well. But why summon me?
You gave two prophecies, two visions of the future, three, perhaps. You gave the vision to me, the vision of Ediord and the prophet fighting a final climactic battle to decide the fate of perhaps everything, perhaps only a small corner of the universe and beyond. You gave a vision to Vivara of me,
Yes,
and then you gave a vision here to the Oracle of slaying Ediord's brother.
yes.
I'm well aware the future is not fixed, but now that all of these visions have come together, conflicting, which is it that you would wish truly come to pass?
My wish, says the mother, is to see which path is walked for our friend of Ed. The maiden will say, crossroads can be walked for us, as my cult shall walk it for this brother of Ed Yord. So, the path of life, Crone says, the path of death. The mother says, it is for you, Etherith, to see to it that the path you wish walked is done so. But I have laid the way. It is for all of you to decide which road to walk.
Hmm,
I care not.
I understand.
The crone will say, besides, I think you can get what you need from Ed Yord's brother, alive or dead. He serves either way. So truly, it is preference on your part which way you want
I have traveled with Ed for a while now, and I can only think that he has great attachments to the crew, and no doubt his brother as well. Losses, while acceptable to me, are not acceptable to Ed. Should any of us fall, or too many of us fall, should his brother fall, then the future where Ed confronts the prophet may never come to pass. A broken heart is a injury that is not easily, if ever, recovered from. To slay his brother after we've got what we needed would be would erase the path forward.
I am beyond doubt that if you should rescue him from the rest of the cult, then you will want him alive, such is the way of affection and family. However, a broken heart, a grieving heart, is one that must become small like any other injury. If he chooses to succumb to his injuries of the heart because of this death, that is his decision. And if you wish to ensure that his frail heart does not break under the weights of sacrifice in the name of Hecate, then I suggest you get to work, Atherith. I will be pleased to see which of my disciples is the more capable.
There's one other thing. You graced me with an omen on our arrival into great space. I would ask, is there a path that ends with me here, perhaps even leading this cult?
The mother and the maiden and the crone smile a crooked smile. And Hecate says, I am no god of fate, but I am the god of the path that is walked as fate unravels itself. And there are many paths one will walk at the same time. That is for you to decide, Etherith. The crone will say, if it is your ambition to lead, if you think your knowledge of me is greater than the High Oracle, then we will be curious to see what you're willing to do to obtain power. For above all, eternity is boring, and we await amusement.
So it shall be.
The
Thank
maiden
you.
said, oh, sorry, the maiden says, don't disappoint us. There is much worthy of grandeur and story here, enough to make even Apollo sing many great songs and tales of what will unfold. Do not make this tale disappointing for us. We wish to we wish to see a myth made.
I won't disappoint, Mother.
The mother looks down at you with a momentary softer smile, and the light in the pool sort of fades away in a small hum. The crystalline surface returns to ripples. The the staff is floating behind you at the edge of the pool. Again,
Mm.
don't know how it got there. And the thrones are emptied. The candle lights all reignite at once. The some hundred candles all singularly alight.
Well, I shan't crumble under the weight of responsibility. And if a myth is to be made, this cult will be mine. And I'll head back.
Incredible.
I will be the
Uh,
greatest witch they've ever known.
incredible. Um, Meanwhile, yes, Basson,
I
you
just
were you were
no, just
yeah.
above the table. Who got the witch's hat? Does Ether still have the witch's hat?
I got rid of that because
So
I
then,
wanted to
my
like,
son still has it. No,
yeah.
I feel like even if you're not actively using it, I just feel like it should. We'll get it back to
Um,
you.
so we'll head over to Arendelle, who I believe went sniffing around for potions and alchemy and such. Um, so Arendelle, you follow that sort of acrid alchemical smell down the hall to where a very thin mist takes place, not enough to cloud your vision, but enough to make the rays of candlelight seem that much more intense in the shadows, a straight beam of light. And as you turn into this heavily candlelit room, um, you are going to see that candlelight only extends as far as the door. And to your surprise, you find yourself in this uh, the roof is open, so you can see the cavern roof above. Um, and you are in this grove. This it's not like like the interior of a Roman villa where it's very like, open roof and it's like a rectangle. It's not like that. Maybe it was at one point, but now it's overgrown. It is overgrown with glowing fungi and bioluminescent flowers that seem to only bloom under an artificial light. You do see floating a bit above the courtyard is this large floating light that sort of moves about it like a miniature moon. It changes its phases as it moves around the courtyard. So it's like full and then half and then crescent and so on and so forth as it travels in a circuit around the airspace, shall we say, of the grove. You do see a number of the witches tending to the garden, watering, cutting plants, and so on and so forth. And the centerpiece of the grove, you see this leafless small tree that kind of comes up, crooks and bows at the top, and it seems to be made of pure silver. This is where you are.
I think Miranda will keep to the edges as much as he can. I don't think he would wish to invade if there's people in there, working and stuff like that. He wouldn't want to invade their space without being offered in. Plus, he's most probably a little bit on edge and a bit skeptical of being there, as in, I think he most probably finds it a place where people are corrupted into the darker side of the deities, if you know what I mean. It's not his, yeah, no, exactly. Um, it's his opposite spectrum, if you will. So I think he's just been a bit mindful and skeptical about the whole place. So
Mindful and
I'd
skeptical.
walking
Please.
around and I would find the closest person to the edges of this grove, and find them first.
Um, you you find one of these. You're looking around. There's only about three people. You find one of these. It sounds like you're probably going for just like any old worker
Mhm.
individual, and so you do. You find this one um, witch who has the lower parts of her dress, sort of like hitched up to keep out of the way of her the legs below the knee, so that she can like step over the boughs of the silver tree and not to damage any of the plants. She's got a little pouch for herbalism, and she has like little shears and is working away. Um, she turns and looks at you, and will sort of stand up and say, "Welcome, uh, guest of Hecate. Is there something I could do to help
Um, well, hopefully, I'm looking for someone that can make potions or yeah, anything like that that we can maybe make use of and purchase.
you?" Yes, yes, of course. I'm I just collect the herbs, but if you would like to talk to the Hollow Prophet, she is she I think will be of interest to you and does often like to manage the potion craft of this place.
That would be most useful. Thank you.
Please right this way and be cautious of the flowers. They're valuable and sometimes deathly poisonous.
Mm,
Um,
certainly.
and she will sort of lead you on a path where she steps over some of these silver boughs that seem to go all the way through, um, and will take you to a side room. And in that side room, you are going to see this seemingly human individual who is working at like an alchemy station with a number of strange dark purple and black plants, grinding mortar and pestle. What is worth knowing, which is a bit of a contrast to everybody else, she has stark white hair that goes perfectly straight down down to past her hip. She has there's a lot of skin showing, ancient Greece, but she does have like a long black dress with a purple sash, which you haven't seen anybody wear anything like that. But she is covered in these long, veining silver tattoos that seem to connect to one another, that look floral, but also give like sort of flared points that give off constellations, as if her entire body is decorated in silver constellations. She has she like turns to look at the door. She has faintly glowing silver eyes. There is something otherworldly about this woman. She has a divine beauty or grace about her that doesn't seem mortal to you. Um, the disciple that you walked in with says, uh, Callista, I have brought to you one of the guests brought by the prophet Ethereth. Uh, as she speaks, it's in an almost faintly faintly sing-song voice, like someone whispering you a sweet secret. And she says, "Thank you. I thank you." And the disciple just sort of bows to her and leaves. She takes what's in her bowl and like puts it into the cauldron in front of her, and there's like a momentary flare of flame that comes out of the water. And she will put down the mortar and pestle and kind of do that with her hands. And she will turn to look at you, and she'll say, "Welcome. How might I help you?"
Thank you. My name is Arundel. I am here to maybe procure some potions. I'm not exactly sure of what at the moment, but I just wanted to see if there was anything available that may be of use.
I think I can manage that. Let's see what we have Let's see what we have created. And she'll go to a locked store cabinet and we'll open it where there is a series of potions. Once again. Okay, she starts to go through. Sorry, I'm just getting my books ready with the prices listed. They are sometimes tricky to go through. Let's see here. Services, magic items. There we go. Magic items, identity, that's crafting. Please hold, almost there. Okay, here we go. Got it. Sorry about that. She's like, okay, I have a couple here. I'll just take you through what I have produced recently. Says, She kind of looks you over. She says, you are a warrior?
I am, yes.
Okay, I'll see what would be of benefit to a warrior. She takes out this one potion that seems to have a crystal clear water in it, but has a flickering light internally, like lanterns in a fog. She says, this is the Crossroads Draft. While wielding it, you should appear in and out of the Witch's Crossroads in battle. It can be very useful. You appear, attack, possibly vanish unstable. However, I've not perfected it. It is possible that while you are visiting the crossroads, you may be returned to somewhere you've been before. But be assured that it will not have lasting effects. You'll always return to the battlefield you drank it upon.
Okay.
Correct, Aaron. Kudos to you. So yes, it is the blink spell. With there's a twist to it.
Okay.
Very well. She'll put it to the side. Says, what else would a warrior benefit from? She kind of looks at it. She says, do you think that you will do battle with divine creatures or unholy creatures?
Oh, definitely. We
Then I
are.
might have something for you. She will pull out this bottle in a circular vial, and it has a silvery liquid inside. And you can she's holding it, but you could just barely hear it, the sound edge of your hearing, almost like the sound of humming, like as if it was a chorus a little bit, but it's too low to make out. You might not even truly be hearing it. You might be imagining. She says, this is the lunar ward. Much like the phases of the moon, it grants different resistances, such as against decay and against holy light. It will also protect you against undead. So resistance to necrotic and radiant damage.
Okay.
She'll put that over. She will take out another bottle. Says this one's interesting. It's a smoky glass, and inside there seems to be wisps of mist that kind of float around the interior of the bottle. Just as very hard to bottle. This is the Mistwalker's Filter, which should grant you the ability to walk through mists and leave no scent or footprint where you dwell. In translation, for 1 hour, you will have 3 charges of Misty Step. And as she said, you'll leave no sign of your passage for that hour.
Okay.
'Cause I have more, but those are the ones that I think will be of most benefit to a fighting warrior. Unless you had specific requests, this is what I would offer.
I'd be interested in how much all three would be.
Very well. She will look at, let's see here, which to start with. She will go to the lunar ward, the resistance potion,
Mhm.
and she'll say, this one is worth 2,000 gold pieces. It was not easy to make. She will show the crossroads draft, and she will say, this one is 200 gold. And then she will lastly pick up the Mistwalker's filter, and she'll say, this one is also 200 gold pieces.
Wondering whether you have anything that helps against psychic abilities.
I don't have anything on hand that helps against psychic abilities. However, I do have, the best way of ensuring someone can't hurt your mind is to ensure that they're not alive. I could be convinced to commission some specialty potions that might ensure that those enemies don't have the chance to harm you.
That sounds interesting. Firstly, though, I'll take the Crossroads draft and the Mistwalkers.
Very well.
That's-
That'll be 2,200 gold pieces.
Sorry, I thought you said they were 200 each, and the
Oh, my
resistance necrotic was
correct. My
scared me there
apologies.
for a minute.
No, 400. You're correct. My apologies.
But yes, I'd be interested in commissioning something that would help against those with psychic powers that may wish to use them upon us.
I have two that I might suggest to you. The first one is known as the Hexbloom venom. It comes from a very rare plant, which I expect only grows here within a couple of miles, if not more. It is a poison. It is a injury-based poison, and when it afflicts the target, it causes hallucination and magical fatigue. It makes it difficult for those possessing magical abilities, psychic, arcane, otherwise, to cast those spells, making it difficult to use psychic powers against you, might even weaken them to try and do so. I could produce something like this in a commission if you wanted.
Found something that would be very useful. How much would that cost?
She looks at you. She says, a poison like this, it is valuable. Perhaps 2,000? These are unique. I haven't asked anyone what I should price them with, but difficult to make, rare to make. I assure you, you're probably not going to find this one anywhere else. But I could offer you a discount in exchange for something.
I'd be willing to listen.
I could produce a second potion, one that is very interesting. It's known as the Filter of Veiled Oath. This is sometimes how we procure warlocks for Hecate. if you were to feed this to somebody or have them drink it, Hecate will secure their pact. If they're willing, of course. If you were willing to potentially produce a warlock in this way, I could sell it to you for 200 instead. I will assure you there is no bending of consent in this. Once they drink the potion, they'll be confronted by the Mother of Witches, and there the pact will either be denied or secured. But usually it's in the best interest of those who drink it to secure such a pact.
As tempting as that may be.
Uh, I suspect it's not tempting at all for you, is it?
Unfortunately, I will not be able
No.
to do that.
No, you have the bearings of another god, don't you? I would say.
I do. I'm a follower of the Twilight Rider.
I've not heard of the Twilight Rider. Is that Artemis?
Sorry, above the table. I know you did tell me the other week who it was, but I forgot, and I need to just find my
The
note.
mighty Zeus was the one that seemed to be
Correct.
interested in you.
Yeah, no, but I mean, as in the Twilight Riders equivalent here. Is that still?
Um, that's an interesting quandary. I don't know if there are any gods of like Twilight here. I think that would be for you, Arendelle, being a cleric of the Twilight Rider to decide for yourself. I think the two it might make sense with is either Apollo or Artemis, considering they're the twins of the sky, of the constellations.
Yeah, that's why I just.
There is a god of the dawn. So maybe a religion check.
16?
16. You have heard, maybe you've asked around about this just to like, you don't know if this is the embodiment of the Twilight Rider or if it's just another god to put forth to kind of help people connect what your deal is. But you have heard of the goddess Eos, who is the goddess of the dawn. She is the daughter of the mighty Titan Hyperion, the god of foresight in the sky, and Thea. So she would be closest in domain to the Twilight Rider, though she is a feminine god.
And sorry, what was her name again?
Eos, E-O-S.
Yeah, yes. So sorry, I rude. I didn't catch your name at first.
Oh, my apologies. My name is, as I scroll through my notes.
Sorry.
No, you're all good. My name is Callista.
Callista, you did say that. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm known around here as the Starborn Flame, is the name they've given me. The title, but you may call me Callista.
There is a few gods, maybe, or deities that I hear that could be associated with the Twilight Rider, I'm afraid. But Apollo, Artemis, even Eos, from what I gather and what I've read so far. But none are those.
Can I ask you of your god? Of your worship?
Of course.
You said the Twilight Rider. I've never known these names to these gods. If you are equating your god's power to one from my pantheon, I'm curious. Are you not curious in Hecate then? She is the goddess of the moon. She has association with the celestial realm. Do you think your god of twilight, do you think there is not knowledge to be learned from a god of the moon, of your god?
Unfortunately, I don't believe in. I don't wish to sound. Yeah, I'm sorry, but her ways do not sit with me very well. I
What?
prefer the.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, I prefer the line that I've always taken. We are here to serve. I am here to protect. I'm not here to make people into warlocks for the sake of so-called entertainment. We are here to
And
serve the Twilight Rider and free and vanquish those that wish to take us down.
that is most admirable. Admittedly, the cult of Hecate can be a little singularly focused in the aspects of Hecate, but protection in the way of a warrior is a path to be walked. You, at one point, I suspect, found yourself at a crossroads and you chose the way of the warrior. And that is not something that Hecate scorns. Righteousness and goodness and all these things. I don't think Hecate looks poorly on those. I think she is merely curious on the doors we open and the paths we walk, even yours. Well, I I will not try and shove my faith down your throat any further.
I do appreciate that. Although I am not in a case of where I am ignorant to other cultures and religions. But thank you.
Well, if you're curious, you're in the right place. And such is the will of the gods that we must be good hosts. The gods do not look favorably on bad hosts. So, perhaps we could find some other way to secure you this potion for a better price without having you to infect people with religion. Hmm, she thinks to herself. Um, she says, why don't you simply tell me of your companion you arrived with? Rumor already flows around the cult that a target of ours is not entirely named for death any longer, and that has something to do with you.
That is true. We are, well, we are looking to secure your target, as you say. He is the brother of our captain. So we are here to rescue him, take him back.
Well, we're in a strange place right now to decide if he should live or if she should die. There are two powerful disciples of Hecate present, and both have received visions contradicting. And we have been told to make our own choice. So I imagine many witches over here are a little paralyzed by that choice. So thank you for telling me that I might make that choice for myself.
It's not a problem. But if my words have any weight, and I don't wish to sway you in whichever way, but this man that we are looking for could change a lot of things. Him and his brother together could be unstoppable in a lot of things. And only for good. They are good people.
You advocate for life because he has pragmatic value. This brother of your captain.
I advocate for life because it is what is right.
Life is always right.
Is not our death is not ours to choose unless it is brought upon us and we have to make that decision within battle. But to needlessly kill is not something I wish to do.
Fair enough. If your god asked you to kill, would you?
I've never been asked directly by my god to kill. Although I have killed in the service of that god, in the service of my fellow Elven Armada. But that was against a force that was undeniably one of the worst that we have ever come across. The Illithid.
Have you never killed based on faith alone? Rather than knowing the score?
Never on faith. Never asked by my deity to do so. Everybody has their own beliefs, and that is their choice to make. It's not down to me to decide on whether that person should live or die based on their beliefs.
I suspect you will be challenged one of these days.
I hope that is far off, but I'm sure it will come.
I have no doubt that the goddess of witches will be very interesting to see which crossroad you walk when that happens. You are very interesting to me, Arendelle. It is too bad that you will not stay.
Fortunately, not at this time. But I do have a personal question, if I may.
You may.
Your tattoos, they are rather special looking. I take it you have taken the silver from the tree outside.
How astute. It is not a right that is granted to just anybody. I count myself among one of the true daughters of Hecate. And so, when I came here and truly devoted myself to my mother, I was granted that permission to use the bark of the silver bough as inks. And so my study of the night sky would be put upon my skin. I was already marked. Nothing too extravagant, just a freckle here and a freckle there. It was made clear to me that they were placed in constellations, that there was a design. And so I accepted my path and my heritage. So now any who should look upon my body will know that as well, my devotion to the night sky, to the moon, to the stars. If it makes you feel any better, Arendelle, I am not killed merely based on faith either.
That is good to know. And if ever I am around and you wish to talk further of the stars and the constellations, I'd be quite happy to.
You want to watch the stars with me? Better be careful. Maybe you will just stay here for longer.
If things go the way I hope, then maybe at some point I shall return. And that might be a fitting offer.
I would like that, I think. But we will see.
We shall. Thank you very much. If
Please send me whoever you wish. If you wish to procure more potions, I have many more available. And there are specialty commissions that I can do. And I hope you'll make good on that offer sometime soon.
Certainly will. But not so that I have a reason to come back, but please. I'll commission that potion.
Very well. Make me a persuasion check.
That's, oh my God. That was a 6.
I will give you advantage for good roleplay.
Oh, it's getting worse. 11. It's not getting any better.
My boy was not built for charisma. That's okay.
No, that's true.
Let's see what the dice say over here. She'll smile at you. She'll say, she'll say, very well, I will commission for you the hex bloom venom for 200 gold pieces. And with the understanding that you will return. Even just to visit.
I will have to now that and pick this up. If there is anything else I could do for you, like collecting some equipment or potions or
I think I'm quite
supplies.
If you wish to bring me gifts, I will be excited for your imagination.
I shall see you soon. I shall give a nice deep elven bow and walk out.
Okay. And so you do.
Thank you very much.
Oh boy. Eros is floating around with his arrows.
I am so into this storyline right now. Like the little Latina in me who watches Telemundo with her abuelita, like the shows, is so into this chisma right now.
Very nice.
That's all right.
Hell yeah. Okay. Last but not least, well, that's only half of his, but we'll hit with Chaplain. Chaplain, you had a little primer to Hecate, a little like, what does it take? Do you want to be a cultist of Hecate? Are you interested in witchcraft? Do you dance naked under the moon? Like all these kind of these chapters. Yeah, if you read the book, it is probably nothing that you are unused to. From what you've learned of Ethrith, you're like, oh yeah, like the moon and crossroads and witchcraft and blah blah blah. There is some interesting stuff in there about her place in cosmology, where she is said to have a sort of private realm within what this pantheon considers the land of the dead, known as Hades. She does sort of dwell there and wander there. You're interested to find that she is considered an ally of the harvest god and the goddess of seasons and winter, Demeter, as well as a number of other goddesses. There is the whole like dancing on you like her like it could be fun for you if you like blah blah blah.
Right.
And there are some pretty like spicy images of like naked woman dancing around a fire under the full moon. These rites are largely considered beneficial to and like it goes on. There's a page about sacrifice. It says like many other gods, Hecate does receive sacrifices in the form of animal lives or any other. Much only in very extreme circumstances is human blood called for in a sacrifice, and hasn't happened for a very long time, but does accept tributes, and it goes on and on and on. It gives you like a basic primer about the faith of Hecate and her rites and her powers and her disciples and so on. Is there anything of particular personal interest that you would want to seek?
I think for Chaplin, probably in this scenario, he probably starts rabbit holing a little bit. Maybe he's after this is kind of what he sort of expected, and this is where he wanted to start was the beginning. Um, but now he's probably trying to follow any paths or references that lead down the route of um, either and or um, deception, so trickery, I guess, and and things that we would be considered joyous or celebratory, like dancing, for instance, even if it's in a ritualistic way, right?
Absolutely. Um, things that are joyful in the cult of Hecate. You kind of have to like find it for yourself a little bit. There's definitely isn't a chapter about like they love going out on for brunch or like there's nothing that explicitly says like we like this. But
Yeah,
there definitely
like
seems to be. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like the naked dancing around the campfire, even though that's done in sort of a ritualistic and cultish way, I guess probably like not so much joyful. I guess I said that wrong. What he's looking for is like positive energy.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah, you definitely have to use your imagination for something where you're like, oh, like I imagine that would be very fun to take part in, or that would be a very cool thing. And yeah, most prominently, the most your your autonomic circuits feel a little tingly for some reason. You don't know what's going on, but yeah, you're like you imagine like I don't know, like you can't really get naked. You're an autognome, but like you imagine that that seems like a fun thing to dance around like a giant bonfire. There is it is, you know, there's a number of rituals that grant power, and then it talks about witchcraft where it says like anything from invoking powers of enchantment upon lovers to evoking the blessings of the goddess Hecate to open doors that were always closed and such. So you get the sense that like there is like a fun enjoyment in the mystique of the ritual
Right.
where you like do the whole ritual and the whole spell and kind of hope it worked and wait for its results a little bit. And there's like a you get the sense there's like it sounds fun like and you find like a very basic spell for like a good fortune spell that kind of combines herbology with like a little like some crystals and it's very like 2025 like Wiccan white chick like shit, you
Right,
know,
right.
like
Yeah.
so there's some of that in there, and you're like, oh, like that kind of looks like a little fun thing. Like, I don't know. So you find some activities in there that sound like kind of fun to do, uh, that are like, yeah, that are whether they're like useful or like fun to play with, like a glamour or something. You get the sense there is some like low level innocent witchcraft that takes
Yeah,
place. That could be fun.
he's yeah, I guess yeah, that's absolutely along the lines that I was thinking of and things that spark and when I say positive, I don't even necessarily mean like morally good. I guess I mean like positively charged energy wise, things that spark, like you said, hope or like eagerness or anxiety, things that spark kind of these positively charged feelings in people, even if when it I guess when he recognizes that it gets to the point of just being out of like malice or spite or hatred or whatever, then he starts to back off a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
But things that are related that create excitement in people is probably what he's searching for.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, there's a number of those, and there's some where like, yeah, I think the thing that'll be interesting to you is like there's like almost like a little warning that says, beware when conducting witchcraft. Always there's always a payment to be made. Every spell you cast, there's a payment to be made, in one way or another. So be cautious. It says that those like darker, more malicious, witchy spells that are like curse somebody or whatever, that's more advanced magic. And you get the sense that like the spells that is learned by like a novice of Hecate are largely what you're saying. They're like positively charged energy, like bring me fortune, bring me luck, bring me fame, bring me children. Um, those things are more like an innocent, positive force. And there is a lot of talk in witchcraft about energy and about how to cast a spell is to invoke energy. And in these early spells, largely, yes, it is positive energy that's evoked to like to bring something good to you, or to take something good for you and put it out into the world is what all the spell is meant to do, is to transfer energy. Um, and then it gets more advanced where you call upon darker forces, use yourself as a medium to transfer that dark force. So there's anyway. Point is you're a cleric, and a lot of it starts to become like a little mind numbing, where you're not really an arcanist, and you're like,
Right.
oh, like sounds cool, and it's a lot of information, and you could like pick up some other books of like basic witchcraft to do kind of positive energy spells like that, as you say, if you wanted to.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think he's necessarily looking for anything practical. This is more out of curiosity and probably like exploring a little. I suppose there's always been this idea, considering his background, that, uh, trickery, for instance, the broader domain of trickery, um, some people will always see that as being, coming from a negative light and being deceitful. And that's not necessarily how his particular religion works, but there is that acknowledged side of it, right? That like trickery can be used in a darker way that he's never really looked into before. So I think he's probably headed down that road of, how are these things that he holds dear, um, trickery and excitement, entertainment, um, pleasure, essentially,
Mhm.
right? How are these things reflected in a darker way, right?
Yeah. Um, yeah, and you would, as you read, you do probably realize, so like, oh, like maybe there's a bit of a misunderstanding with the cult of Hecate and like the witches of Hecate and whatever, where there is a lot of talk of those things of like, it seems to be that a lot of witchcraft or witches sort of begin the craft out of interest for those positive things. And you recognize some of your cleric spells sort of being described, like guidance is a very basic sort of like call to Hecate to enhance, like, oh, like a love spell, basically. I want to talk to this boy, grant me the power to, speak to him with good words, or so on and so forth. So you recognize some clericy spells intermingled with the witchcraft, the beginnings of them. And absolutely, what you're saying seems to be absolutely a part of it. And you find yourself very quickly realizing there might be a misunderstanding. Ethrid's a very kind of darker individual with the casting. Maybe he has a sort of darker veiled mystique to him. But you suspect that there is a large part of the cult of Hecate and the worship of Hecate that is just, you know, make this boy fall in love with me,
Right.
help me find my missing thing, grant my mother good health, and, um, a lot of, yeah, evoking the crossroads, evoking fate to give you the doors to walk through.
Yeah. And that's honestly what I think, because we're here. Chaplin didn't have a particular reason to be here. He's just kind of along with the group. But I think that would be probably the thing here of most interest to him, is just kind of exploring these types of things while he's waiting on everybody else to do what they're doing here.
Absolutely. You find positive energy, you find potential for dark powers. But you do indeed to I think finally put a fine note on the question you're asking. Yes, there is a lot of like merry trickery that is possible through witchcraft. Uh, a little misfortune here, a little blank here, and so on and so forth. There is innocence to witchcraft that is to be explored if you wish. Okay, Incredible. Let's go deeper back into the labyrinth where Basan was left by Vivara to look into the looking glass, so to speak, of paths not walked and doors unopened. Um, you find yourself at the end of where where are you? The Library of Hidden Paths, and you have just looked into the gate of Moonlight and now sort of sit on this chair, on which you expect many a witch has sat and contemplated similar sights. What's going on with Basan?
The open realization that she's not Zerai. She's a traveler. By her own extension, could she have become an anarch? Yeah, but she's chosen no, and so no and never again. I think it's the first time that she realizes that she's never going back. Because in the back of her head, it was always like, well, eventually she's going to go back. And then she went back, and then she's like, oh, she's doing this thing. And now she's here going like, no, no, it's even when I'm done, that's not actually home.
You've seen where some of the paths that you could walk may lead. Some, the more, shall we say, committed, the way of the Zerai does not fit. You have gained that insight. And you do realize that, yes, you're a traveler. And at this moment, though perhaps you're figuring it out, you do not belong to any faction of Gith. You are not a Githzerai. You are not a Githyanki. You are not a, whatever that fucked up name was of the third one. The Shao Cool, I believe, something like that.
Shessa cool.
Shesal Cool, thank you very much. You are not of the Shesal Cool. You are not this raiding warrior of passion and excitement, uh, of, of living and drinking of life. You are not that person. You are not the abstinent and careful monk. You're not even the one who walks the middle road. Maybe not yet.
Okay, so apparently she's having an identity crisis. It's fine.
Of all the things that you saw in the broken mirror, the only one that you seem to probably resemble closest, as you kept seeing the face of Saeed pop up in many. You walk alongside him at this moment, and he seems to be. If these are your paths, it seems that he is the one you are most closely walking beside.
Yeah, but he's a slave, and that's a problem.
Something worth considering. You have
All
chosen
right.
a path that is, of all the paths present, he is the one that you are perhaps the furthest walking down. Worth considering. You will hear a voice from the edge of the corridor, and you will hear the voice say, I guess you probably didn't like what you saw in the mirror, did you? And it's Bavara. You seem deflated.
We do not have to like what's in front of us. We have to adapt to it. Saying goodbye is difficult. you think a thing is going to happen because you grow up that way and it doesn't, it's fine. This thing might be better.
Only the fates know.
What is the difference between religion and faith and slavery?
I'm curious which one you would accuse me of.
My people were enslaved to the mind flayers, and then we weren't, but then we split, and some of us developed our own ways of doing things, made our minds work, became masters of what's around us, and others chose faith, and faith looks like slavery.
Do
But
you think a slave can be treated well? Do you think a slave can be happy as a slave? Perhaps even happier than a free person?
that was not the experience of my people historically.
Not of your people, but I mean in general. Do you think there are not kind masters who treat their slaves well and perhaps show them better lives than what they might find if they were free? Do you think that's possible?
I do not understand why keep them tethered then. I don't, I am missing something clearly.
Slavery isn't a choice. Faith is. I could decide to turn my back on Hecate at this very moment, walk out that door and never utter her name again the rest of my life. Mind you, it might anger Hecate and may influence my life in such a way. But if I leave on good terms and not out of spite for the goddess, I wonder if she would.
And so Hecate is different than Vlaakith, because Vlaakith chased down. Yes, you could leave. It is choice.
I would say that's the difference between a servant and a slave. I am a servant of Hecate. I am not forced to be here, and I do not fear reprisal if I were to leave on good terms. Whereas a slave is forced to what they do, is forced to serve, usually without question. Mind you, servants don't always question. It's a complicated riddle that you've posed. All I see is that slavery is forced and servants are willing. I guess the question for you is, I don't know anything about this Blacketh person, but do they literally, does she literally enslave, or is she just an incredibly manipulative individual who has blind servants? It's complicated.
It I had a friend, he's gone. He did not worship, had a relationship with Hecate. I did not understand. She insisted that he kill a prisoner for no reason but her entertainment. It was tactically unsound. But her relationship with Etherith seems more words.
Deeper.
Going both ways.
Ah,
It words. And I have a friend Chaplin, and his has a relationship with Garl, and Garl is kind of nice to all of us, but they just talk a lot. They just like at a bar, but anywhere, and then things happen. It's strange. I don't understand faith.
But you seem to understand slavery.
Yes.
I think it's complicated. You could call someone a slave if they're not willing to leave a abusive lover. But the truth of the matter is that person's just weak. If you have a poor master and you are not truly enslaved, you have the power to leave. You have the power to move on with your life. But if you don't, if you stay with this evil, abusive master, lover, God that you do not appreciate, then it is your own weakness of will that you're not willing to move forward with your life and take your power into your own hands. That isn't to say that those people are bad. Sometimes people are manipulated by cunning masters to feel powerless and not recognize their own strength. This is forgivable. But nonetheless, if you are not bound, as many warlocks are bound, then you can leave whenever you want. That is the power of the servant over the slave. And even the slave has the power to leave if they're willing to fight for it. Though, of course, the path is filled with much more pain and turmoil. It's not socially accepted. Blah, 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 blah. So I think consider, if you're trying to figure out between slavery and whatnot, is your master a good one? Hecate can be many things. She can be wicked. She can be most helpful. She can be a guide. She can be a path to destruction. Hecate is the goddess of crossroads. She is the goddess of paths. Magic, witchcraft, is just a path to another fate, to influence your fate in ways that no one else can. Magic is a tool, much like your feet are. The moon is a guiding light, though a dim one, as is often fate, hard to see as you walk it, which is why she embodies the moon and not necessarily the sun, which makes everything so plainly obvious. Life is not an easy one to see as it comes at you, much as the light of the moon, not a reliable source of light at times, but nonetheless, a beautiful one, mysterious and empowering one. Hecate can be a dark master, but she also can be a guiding master. She sees the path, and she does things that we don't always understand. That does not mean that there isn't purpose to why she asks us to do the things we do. This hunt for this person that you're looking for. Perhaps it seems for pure amusement that Hecate asks for these things. But who are we to understand the mind of the three-faced goddess? She is ancient, and she sees things that we could not possibly, not even comprehend, things that come to her as easily as simple math. So I gladly walk the path of Hecate, the three-faced goddess. And if this Vlaakith is so evil, then don't walk the path.
I do not understand why anyone would. I
Walk the path of a cunning, mean master?
Why suborn your own will to someone who would use it to ends not your own?
She'll kind of look you over and she'll say, I thought you were a warrior. Are you not a soldier?
I am.
I am no soldier, but I have known them. And is it not easier to sometimes just take orders? Is it not easier sometimes
But
to
everything
just
just clicks into place.
yeah. Is it not easier to sometimes just put your faith in something and just do what they say and not think about it every second of every day? Am I doing the right thing? This or that? Is this leading to the great cause? Much like you're a soldier and you belong to some army or some government, you didn't understand why you were fighting every battle, yes? But you knew that it led to some greater revolution. And much the same as we serve a God, we don't know why the God has us do these little meticulous things here and there, but it all leads to a greater success perhaps one day. It is no different serving a God than it is serving an army. You trust that the army is doing what is in your best interest, even if you don't always understand why they tell you to do this or that. It's to you to decide if you're willing to do this or that. And that kind of faith can be manipulated.
That makes sense. She smiles her toothy grin. Thank you.
You are a terrifying race of alien, if I may say so. And that is not a insult. That is very much a compliment. I don't think I have it in me to file my teeth down, but it is a look.
They grow like this.
Oh, you should tell people you filed them down. It sounds cooler.
It does sound cooler.
Pretty intimidating. Well, would you like to be shown out of the library, or would you like to walk a path by yourself?
I would like to walk a path, please.
She'll sort of smirk at you and turn, and she'll say, "You may regret that."
I'm sure she's going to.
And Vivara will disappear down the corridor of books. Tell you what, Basan, make me a survival check to see if you can find your way out of the labyrinth of books.
Motherfucker, that is a nat 20. And she's proficient in
Hilarious.
survival. And she is proficient in survival. So give me a second.
You're good. It's a natural. I'm not worried. You are a cunning warrior, and you were paying attention when you walked through this labyrinth before, so you simply follow the way back that you walked before. Whether this is from your own cunning strategy, or perhaps it's beginning to itch at your brain, maybe you are being shown the path. You don't know where faith ends and skill begins, but you can't help but feel the contemplation overcome you.
Athena's a warrior goddess, they said. Warrior.
Who's that?
Athena?
Athena is absolutely a warrior goddess, yes. She is a goddess of strategy, knowledge, wisdom, and warfare.
Wisdom. I should see her next. She'll either go try to find the group or go try to find a quiet place where she could meet easily with the group or
Well, it sounded like Etherith wrapped up his meeting, and Etherith or Arendil finished his meeting. And so we'll say that you guys all just kind of like find yourselves once more here in the Library of Hidden Paths. As Basan, you're like making your way out fairly easily. You will come out to see Etherith and Arendil sort of gathered around Chaplain, who maybe is still peeking around through some thick primer. You guys all unite.
I'm slightly wet.
Yeah,
From like the
Etherith is
waist down,
drenched.
just water.
Yep. Vivara is present. And she will say, "So what do we think? Is Hecate an evil overlord? Or a beneficial which got it. Ugh, never mind. I don't know where I was going with that.
Isan will say, and she's gonna look at Ethelred and say, I don't know, but usually it's more comfortable if you strip before you go swimming.
You
Hecate
know,
does like that.
And she just puts her eyes down afterwards, or just
I
makes her little joke.
the thought did cross my mind, but I thought just presenting my naked body to my goddess might have been somewhat inappropriate, but maybe you're right.
Has she not seen naked dragonborn? Does she not see naked before? Does
I
she
mean,
not know naked?
I was naked when she made me. I'm like, I thought you
I
were more
suppose it
polite.
depends on the deity. I don't think Tyr likes naked at all, ever.
How do you know if a god likes naked?
Stand in
It's a little
front of them
stuffy.
naked. The thing is, Ephrath, I would assume that it would have brought great happiness or amusement to your mistress. Either way,
Well, she does love
she
amusement.
it would have been a win-win for you either way.
So, the cult is at a crossroads, and I kind of looked at Vivara. Realistically, how many witches are really going to take my side? I've just appeared from nowhere.
Vivara says, so what are you going to do about it? Did you expect a bunch of rebellious women to just fall in line behind a man?
I thought they would fall behind the very spawn of their goddess, but I suppose I don't look very witchy by
You
any
look pretty
stretch of the
witchy.
imagination.
Don't be hard on yourself. You look so... Baby.
May I make a may I make a suggestion, Ephrath?
By all means.
Whether you have a sermon or prayers or a time when you are all meeting, maybe that is the time to put yourself forward and make yourself known to the whole of this place. If they do not know who you are, they will not follow you. If they do not know what you wish, then how are they to lead in the way of that what you want?
Is there an event of some or a convening at some point today, Vivara?
Only when one is called. If you wanted there to be a meeting, I could spread the word.
I think that'll be necessary, so yes, I would.
Very well. And you put a hand on your shoulder and say, if I might make a suggestion, this isn't really about Hecate, more about the world you've come to, since I know you're from very far away. In this world, we're not very polite. We like people who brag. The people of great space, Thessalos especially, we like our heroes boastful and proud. So keep that in mind. Could be helpful.
Understood.
I have a coven of witches to bring together in unholy matrimony. And she will depart to go spread the word.
I did speak with Hecate. By all accounts, she intends to be largely hands-off in this matter. A crossroads is a crossroads. She has no horse in this race. She's only curious to see which path will be walked in the end, as
Which
is
path? Sorry.
as is to be expected.
Well, if there is anything we can do to assist you in making sure that these people do not take the path which we don't want, then I will be glad to help.
I don't know what kind of preventative measures we can take beyond sheer persuasion, but at least when it comes to searching for Ed's brother, that's where I'll be relying on you the most. I mean, it may come to blows.
Between the two, even if it's divided, your cult divided would attack each other to secure their end.
Naturally. I don't think it would be like, I don't think we'd necessarily derive any particular pleasure from it, but if there's something we want, if there's a future we wish to come to pass, it's our doctrine to make it happen.
Ethereth, aside from finding Ed's brother, is there a particular reason why this is important? Why it's important that you're acknowledged by this group?
I mean, you were all there when I was made.
No.
Even Hecate herself refers to me as her child. And it's, I wouldn't say the most conventional birth, but I acknowledge that I am her son in some way. And I think that being someone that Hecate made, created with her own will, her own power, counts for something.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, and I don't mean to offend at all, I'm simply trying to understand. There's a measure of personal validation involved in this.
Yes.
That's fair.
I must confess, I have said this to the captain, but perhaps not to all of you, is that my birth came with the purpose of bringing the captain to a final confrontation with the prophet. But there's nothing that comes after, no hint or command of what's to become of me once all this is said and done. And here in this place, I feel closest to Hecate. This feels largely like home. And so perhaps once our mission is complete, I would like to have a place here to return to. But I would never be satisfied with simply being another witch among the coven. As the child of Hecate, only one position would satisfy me. I'd like to be in charge.
I think that's perfectly understandable. I mean, Arundel is a captain. That doesn't happen by accident. One has to have some measure of ambition in order to make their way through the ranks.
So if I were to, upon arrival, wrestle control from the Oracle and dictate the path forward, well, that would certainly get the ball rolling. This
I have a
matters.
question.
This dictates my future. Ah, yes.
So it seems like this vote would serve as a dual purpose for you. One, we have the way forward to finding Ed's brother without him being killed.
hmm
And then it would put you in a standing of above the Oracle, if the case is that they side with you.
Indeed.
So how do we prove that you are a legitimate son of your god?
Ideally, Hecate herself would confirm it through a vision or of some sort, but I have doubts she would make things so easy. I
You've already
have,
said that she wouldn't.
I do have, I kind of like show off the staff. This, arrived with me, a relic, an artifact of our order. I could also say that, I've come from a distant star system of space. I carry a vision entirely unique. I have traveled for almost a year now with the brother of their targets. There's we have fought Illithid, we have tangled with a dragon. We have gone through so much. Our story is really something only worthy of characters of myth, shall we say.
So,
So we play. Sorry, when you go, Chaplin.
oh no, I just had a very simple question because there was something that I didn't realize earlier. So this isn't just another location for you. This is some a specific location that you feel is very important to uh, yourself and your belief system and your position in the in the universe or fate. This specific place that we're in right now.
Ever since we arrived on Thessalis, there's been a nagging feeling of familiarity. I I've not been alive that long, so I don't remember or have memories of anything, and yet standing in this hall, it is just a very constant feeling of deja vu, like I've walked here before. So there's, like I said, it feels like home.
Well,
Arendelle, do you believe that there's a similar location for someone like you?
Hmm.
Is this something that you can identify with?
I can identify with a feeling of belonging and being in touch with my God and my deities, but my home. I've traveled for so long that a ship became my home for hundreds of years. A home is a place where I feel most at comfort. I've never thought about settling down and seeing my old age in, which is far a ways off. But home is where you feel most comfortable. Mine was my ship.
And I don't know a lot about the gift, but what little I do know is that they almost take pride in not being tied to a location. Is that correct, Basant?
That is not correct at all.
Hmm.
We have a home, plane, but it is far away and hard to get to and not welcoming the anarchs create our spaces with their minds from chaos. One does not just go to limbo. But there is a home. I am unusual because I am a traveler, and Saeed is different.
And what about you, Chaplin?
Oh,
What do you feel as home?
I imagine that home was probably um that's a difficult question. I think I'm probably more like I guess that's maybe the line of questioning that I was pursuing, is that I don't know that any of us maybe experience the same feeling that Ethereth is experiencing right now. I don't really have a home. I have a place where I was created, and I have the people that um sacrificed some and certainly put a lot of time and emotion into making that happen. But I was created to leave the place that I was and to travel. Um, so I guess that's where I was going with this, is that I don't know that any of the three of us really, we can sympathize. I don't know that we can empathize maybe with what Ethereth is feeling right now.
I can empathize. I may be on the other side of the spectrum from Ethereth within our religious beliefs and how we would go about things, but to feel at home within your religion and with your deity is a special thing. To feel in a place where you can do good for whatever purpose that is within this place, then that is home. If that what makes you feel like home, then it is home. And after it, I will do whatever I can to facilitate helping you out.
And home is special.
Very much so, so.
It sounds like we're all in support of helping Ethereth at least pursue his ambitions here.
Definitely.
Your support is appreciated. I wonder. I want to you said there's a library here, right?
Oh yeah, you guys are standing in a massive library.
I'm wondering if there's any chance of finding like a book of, say, former oracles, or just like a list of, I don't know, important people among the cult, or a book
Sure, yeah, make me an
talking about them.
investigation check.
Guidance.
Fair enough. I guess I'm going to use inspiration on that. That is 23.
It's pretty freaking good. Okay. Let's see. There is, yeah, you go looking through the labyrinth, and it's not sectioned very well, and the books are not labeled. Like, there's no Dewey Decimal System here, so you kind of just gotta like open books and read them and be like, okay, this is kind of
Also, like let fate take the wheel.
a little bit. So you kind of move through the bookshelves, but eventually you do find this one book, and all the, of course, a lot of these shelves are dusty. It's aesthetic, it's important.
Yeah.
But you do find this one book, and it seems to have a list of. It's more of a bookshelf that has like different books that are accountings of famous myths and tales of unsung heroes of Hecate. And there are a number. I'll say that like on this particular shelf, you find about 7 different books with tales of famous heroes of the cult. Um, is there something particular you're looking for?
Looking for anything that kind of, I guess, elicits that same feeling Ether's had like the whole time of like familiarity, or something Etherith is trying to piece together exactly like in part how they were even made. Because
Ah, someone like you.
yeah,
Okay, someone who is made.
well, it's not necessarily like looking for like someone in the past who was made, but I guess it's that Etherith is starting to kind of scrutinize the manner in which he himself was created, because he's pretty confident Varsh's soul was, let's say, tribute, but not necessarily a component.
Got it. Well, I'll just go through and I'll give you like a brief description of the people of the books you find. You find Lasara the Threefold, who is uh, a high oracle currently living somewhere, who has potentially, rumor has it they've unlocked the powers of immortality and is an occasional avatar of Hecate herself. Um, there is Vexillion the Forsworn, an exiled mage who uh, disappeared, presumed dead over 200 years ago, but once led a respectable guild of mages, which fractured under his quote unquote heretical designs, and it fractured the guild, and they studied reality based on Hecate's teachings. There's um, Dame Thessalia Blackreach, which is an oath broken knight and reluctant prophet who was once a paladin of law, but was struck by divine revelation on the battlefield by Hecate, and was sort of chosen by her to be an enforcer of the fates, and sort of fought against that until eventually giving in to that destiny. There's the Heromancer Vilka of the Eclipsed Eye, who is considered the witch queen of the Shadowed Steppes. She is dead now, but she once led the lunar cult, which she used their power to create an eclipse of the sun in a grand ritual that created twilight for 7 days. There was the Cradle Sisters, who were a trio of seers who walked among the people of Thessaly, disguised as beggars, midwives, shopkeepers, and offered cryptic wisdom at pivotal moments. It is said to influence the modern day fate of the world. They are thought to be alive somewhere, but identities unknown. There's Aloran Driftvale, the astral Coutromancer, who was a spell jamming mage who mapped what is known as the Invisible the Visible Road, which is said to have been a secret passage into Hecate's realm that is only accessible through dream and ritual. And last but not least of your readings, there is Inara the Pale Flame, who is a prophetess pyromancer, who is said to be alive, but only appears under the light of the full moon. As during a full lunar eclipse, her fire magic burns bright with cold and blue flame, and her tongue is said to produce the flame of the moon. She is said to be one of the most dangerous witches who bears the flames of Hecate and hell against the enemies of her cult. These are who you read of. These are the sort of mythological figures that you capture in this instance. Would any of those appeal?
The story of Exilian definitely stirs like a sense of almost a strange sense of frustration from inside Etherith.
Yeah. If you read further, yeah, was the head of a guild known as the Arcane Convergence, which studied the stars, but then again turned that guild, fractured it of its original purpose, and turned to Hecate to study reality itself and was deemed a heretic for it. But what is interesting is that he was the creator of the Mirror Labyrinth. It is a pocket plane of ever shifting truths and illusions, and also created the mirror that Bassan looked into this very day, and had a reputation for being a dangerous visionary and teachings that were banned by most mage circles. He was probably the guy who made Hecate look bad in Thessalos, or at least was the scapegoat for why he was meant to look bad.
That's almost way too perfect.
Yeah. His spirit is said to haunt the crossroads during eclipses, offering lost mages paths to power for a price. So they say that sometimes uh, he is the scapegoat. He is almost like the spokesperson for Hecate, for unwitting individuals, and grants power on her behalf to those who might not trust in Hecate at first glance. But yes, is presumed dead, disappeared over 200 years ago, is a dreamlike figure now. The book suspects that he was burned at the stake at some point.
Excellent, huh? Hmm. Can I go find the mirror?
Yeah, absolutely. Make me a investigation check to continue on through the labyrinth and see if you can find it for yourself.
Natural 20 for 24.
As apparently this labyrinth isn't too hard to navigate, according to the dice. You make your way through, having heard this, and you find the same mirror that Bassan looked at, this massive mirror with a single strike mark at the top right that has created a line of arcing cracks across the center glass. You would wish to approach it.
I would.
Okay. Is the party accompanying, out of curiosity, or are you guys doing your own thing?
Um, I suppose that's up to Ethereth. Do you want? I would look to
Yeah.
Ethereth for
Yeah,
whatever
you,
he wants.
you can come along.
Accompaniment. All right, I'll go in.
Okay.
Yeah, if Etherith wants us to go, then we'll go in.
No, Bisan will support if Ethereth wants support.
Fair enough.
Once he doesn't stop any of you from following. He's kind of in the zone right now.
Is in the zone. Does the party help with the reading of these books? Like helping to, well, you rolled the check for yourself. So
Yeah.
you guys just kind of follow Ethereth in the zone and kind of like goes to the bookshelves and finds a couple of books that he likes and looks at one in particular and kind of follows it through the labyrinth back to Bassan, where you've been. And you guys all see this now as broken mirror. And as you approach it, Ethereth, we'll take a break. It's about that time, and it gives me a minute to figure out what it is you're about to see.
Woohoo.
Cool. I want, as quickly before everybody goes, I want to give inspiration to everybody because there's been some very cool exploring of the plot, indulging in your character, and it's been very, very enjoyable today. Thank you guys.
Cool.
So
Thank you
everyone,
very much.
cool. We'll be back in 15.
Thank you.
third.
We'll get started when everyone's back. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Waiting on Bassan and Chaplin to get started with the game. It's gonna be so much fun when we get back. We'll give those two another 4 minutes, and then we'll get started.
Carmen says she's here in the chat, so just waiting on Aaron.
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we'll get down to it. Okay. Am I still screen sharing, or was I never screen sharing at any point? That's tough. That's tough for me. Chat down a little. All right, I think I got something worked out. Kind of Hecate-like.
Oh.
Oh ho ho. Oh ho ho. How about them apples? Okay. You approach the mirror. Really quick, I'm gonna see if I can get a mirror. Let's see if the internet favors me. Give me a cool mirror. No. No. Would have been cool. Okay, well, you know what? That's kind of diabolical. Nah, never mind. Okay, no mirror. Sorry, we're gonna move through. We'll just have a little wallpaper situation here for a moment. You look Ethereth into the mirror. See only yourself. You wait for its secrets to reveal itself to you. I'm gonna start with you this time. I would like you to name for me either a crossroads that Ethereth, a path Ethereth didn't choose when a crossroad was presented. Let's start with that. We'll start with that. I want you to tell me about a path that Ethereth did not choose, but isn't unavailable.
A crossroad that Ethereth didn't choose, but is still like an option now.
Could be possible. Like you could turn to Jesus, like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So you haven't chosen, but still possible.
I guess the one that is kind of the most extreme is that, I mean, Ethereth, if we're like dialing back Ethereth's actual responsibilities, is just to simply bring the Prophet and Ed together. So Ethereth being with Ed is not necessarily a requirement. It certainly ensures that it's even easier to keep Ed alive if he's there. But he could just go to the Prophet and present himself as a guide, even now, after everything has been said and done.
The High Oracle?
No, to Lifted Prophet.
Ah,
What happens if Ethereth chooses to align with the Illithid?
Okay. You see the horror that you witnessed through the mirror back on your ship. The Prophet mingled with Mechanics, with Artifice, massive psionic potential, the cyborg-like, monstrous Illithid. You see on his knees, with a dull expression on his face and an open cranium with dried, crusted blood around the rim, you see a writhing Illithid brain where his ought be. And circling around to his back is revealed the tapestry of his tattoos, of markings beneath hidden sequences. And standing over these secrets looking down, there is you, Etherith, with your one half hand on the key staff and your arm around the monstrous Illithid as you look down. You are on some moon of some kind, and the Illithid has his around yours, and he has his hand raised in sort of domination, in majesty. Standing before this scene is numerous black-robed witches and warlocks of Hecate standing amidst many Illithid, an army of both, of psionic, astral, alien power, and dark witchcraft, united under this joint rulership. You stand on some moon as the astral, as the wild space scene calls out before you, and you see planets sort of mingling behind you. And in that moment, there is a flash, a ray of light. And as that light sort of dissipates, you see standing behind you is the crypt smile of the three goddesses Hecate, standing behind you and the prophet. But behind that, the planet is disintegrated, shattered into pieces by some unknown power has destroyed that world, and you know you did it. The crone looks pleased upon you, Etherith. The maiden looks away, sort of abashedly or sad or shamed from you, and the mother looks straight through the glass into your eyes. The next path you see is in the next opening of glass. You see, very simply, you standing here, probably pretty much in the scene, and on the altar of Hecate is the body of the Oracle Seer, and you put on her threefold mask and raise a curved blade above her. And as you do so, she reaches up and takes your hand and pulls it down into her own heart.
Uh-huh.
And the many witches bow. You see the three statues differently. The mother, as always, seems to be staring through the glass. No, excuse me, the maiden is. The maiden is staring through the glass at you directly. The mother looks away, almost shamed. And the crone again looks pleased at the scene. Now I'll swing it back to you again. This time, I want you to tell me about a door that Etherith has not yet opened or would not open. Give me that peering through the keyhole. What does that look like on the other side?
I
A
think
door he never opened.
the one that is this one like where Ethereth missed is like a missed opportunity, or something that he would never.
This
Okay.
this is like a path you can't go back to. This is a door you left shut and threw away the key.
I think. I think. But episode, there's like certain things that like, although this isn't something that like Etherith would ever do, I think maybe perhaps even early on, I guess whether or not Etherith would maybe want to honor perhaps maybe Varsh's will, what would happen if he ever again, it's like this isn't a door that's closed to him now, but
This could be
well,
personally. This could
yeah.
be like something he could do, but something he probably would
If
never have thought to have done.
if he rejected Hecate entirely and chose to turn away from all of it to
And this would be metaphorically a
yeah,
door he did not open and threw away the key for.
yeah.
You see yourself on a Spelljammer. You look like any old sort of spelljamming sailor. You got a flintlock strapped to your chest. You got a rapier at your side. And as you sit in the hold of a galleon, perhaps, or some kind of wooden spelljamming ship, your blade is bloodied, your armor is bloodied, you are bandaging a wound from some recent scrap. You open a bag, a sack, afterward, and pull from it, a bag of gold, some rings, most of them blood-soaked, mementos, a couple of books. Though it's not apparent, there's a heavy implication that these were taken, that these were raided, that these weren't justly taken. These were alleviated from enemies by piracy. This is the booty of a pirated hull. You look through with satisfaction. Your attention, usually as always, directs towards the books. And as you crack one open to see what secrets lie within, you see this Etherith's eyes cast out the porthole to the astral sea, to the stars, to the moons, wondering, remembering, considering. But Hecate is not there. At least not obviously. Now, the next one that you will see The next one you see is you again, but not as you'd expect. You see a mighty dragon. Not a dragonborn, but a mighty lunar dragon. Mighty claws, talons, scraping across the surface of some far-flung moon. Large, long spines grow off of the head of this being that is a great might and power in blood and body and wing and talon, and certainly freezing breath. But its eye holds a mysterious purple. And as this great form tunnels into a hole into the ground, deep into the moon, tunnels into a sanctum within, where you see many witches sort of bow low in amnesty for your great might. You make your way through the tunnel. There are books on shelves. There are ritual circles, candles lit. Hecate does have a presence here. And carved into the moon itself, you see the three statues. You see, standing before the altar, with a dour look as always on his head, but in worship, whether resiliently or not, you see Varsh Voidlight turn to you and say, been through a lot, Ethrith. You will see then from a side tunnel, Chaplain comes wandering through. He goes, hey, yeah, we're the ship's ready if we're want to get going. And Varsh says, I'll catch up. Through a hole in the moon, almost like a window to the outer crust, you see the Prophet's Demise sort of begin to fly up and take off. No, I take that back. My apologies. The New Dawn, the space galleon of the original Captain Winterbell, takes off and sails. You see the crone in the statues looks away shamefully. The mother looks upon you pleased. And the maiden stares at you through glass. Perhaps this was a time when you were mighty enough to protect Captain Winterbell, protect Varsh, protect your crew. If you were strong enough, mighty enough. And in that purple glint in your eye, Ethrith, you are this person in this moment. You are this mightier, draconic Ethrith. And you know the power of witchcraft is not beyond you, even in this draconic form. Witchcraft is not beyond a dragon, not beyond you. And last but not least, you see Etherith, you standing at the head of a ship. This is a ship that you may imagine your design, Etherith. The ship that Etherith would sail upon in all of its majesty and grandeur. One that relays the wickedness and power and terribleness of your power as the High Oracle of Hecate. You wear and are gilded by many signs of triumph from both war and wisdom granted to you by Hecate. Behind you as you sail through the sea is a fleet of dark ships. Ships that forward the cult of Hecate to the stars. And from those stars, you relinquish from your shaded moonlit home, alongside an even grander army. One of the Elven Armada, one of the Dwarven Fleet, one of the Gift Bombard battalions, sailing forth with your allies at your side, the crew of the Prophet's Demise. The Prophet's Demise, perhaps even at your ship's side, you look over and give a nod through the window to Ed Yord as this massive spaceborne fleet flies to battle. And you look ahead to see, appearing from the power of the astral, through the plane-shifting power, is a massive nautiloid fleet. As you sail upon some kind of floating citadel in unknown space, Etherith, you point a staff greater than the key staff, one that is dagger and torch, one that is magic and wrath, and you steer it forward with a moonlit shot, and you hear, even through the void of space, the war cry of this great army who stands at your back, prepared to do great war against these Illithid, and your heart is filled with courage and valor, and you know victory, this final battle, will bring no shortage of glory to your mythos and to the power of Hecate. You have pleased her many times, and in this you will seal your legend as the greatest of Hecate's witches. You see the three eyes of Hecate look through the glass at you, or the three sets of eyes of Hecate look through the glass at you, Atherith, with great pleasure. And these are the 5 visions you see in the mirror.
Ethel stumbles back from the mirror, and there are tears.
You all. No, none of you see what Etherith sees in the glass. Etherith simply stares into the mirror for maybe 60 seconds. Maybe you all think gonna like look around. Maybe not Basan, but maybe Etherith and Chaplain maybe are like, okay, what's going on? And then you begin to hear the sort of heaving, heightened, pitched breath of Etherith that turns into this emotional cry. Whatever he saw in this broken mirror that you have not seen, it has stirred something in Etherith you maybe have not seen before.
I will walk up and place a hand on his shoulder. You seem very troubled, Ethel. I take it your visions were not to your liking.
It was a mixed presentation. Fate is not fixed. There are many paths to walk, and many more paths that have not been tread. I was permitted to witness some ways forward, and even one that is forever closed. This was long before you joined us, Erendil. Before even I was, I suppose, truly myself. Vash Voidlight was captain of this crew for a time, and I was his companion. A gift from Hecate to keep him safe, but I failed. But in the mirror I see a world where I succeeded, where the beholder did never slay him. He looked stern, but perhaps happy in his own way. I had grown large. I was a true lunar dragon, with all the majesty that comes with it. It hurt to see a path long lost, something that will never be able to come to pass. But I also saw something quite incredible. A vision of unity, of many allies, friends, and comrades coming together against a single foe. Something worthy of legend. And I kind of looked to the rest of the group then. All of us were present. It almost looked like a my original vision only ever saw, or maybe revealed to me, Captain Ed and the Prophet trading blows, but this felt like a much wider vision. Many fates in one.
Or maybe this is the vision that we need to strive for.
I agree. To make that come to pass, I need to wrestle the control away from the Oracle. Without the might of my fellow witches behind me, that future will not come to pass.
Well, then how
Etherin.
do you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you have to.
Etherith, you'd said before, um, that much of this group interaction, the mission of the crew, etc., as a whole, was not as important to you because you had a specific idea, not an idea, a specific goal, a specific vision, that included only Ed, and that was your priority, Ed and his brother, and that was your sole motivating fact. Am I to understand that you're questioning that a little now?
I can hardly reject new information. Every vision from Hecate is a gift. Knowing that there's an outcome that far exceeds my original vision, something more exciting, more impressive, something that even I am certain Hecate would far prefer, something worthy of her witness. I have no choice but to chase it, so for that to pass, I can't continue to focus all my efforts on Ed alone. Everyone now matters. Everyone was present.
And I'm trying to understand how your visions work for you. So you see at different times, sometimes maybe simultaneously, different paths for the future. Is that correct?
It's like branches of a tree. The future's not fixed, but if you have a vision of one possible future, then it becomes, well, if it's a vision that you particularly like, then it's only natural to want to work towards it. There are other things that can happen. There's a future where I abandon you all, throw my lot in with the Illithid, and the universe is doomed. Ed is captured, planets burn and disintegrate. Rest assured, I have no interest in taking such a path.
Oh, trust me, I thought it would stop before that happens.
How do you decide though?
Partly my own inclination, partly by how I feel Hecate herself might respond. I kind of gesture to the three statues. Hecate is of, well, three minds, in a manner of speaking. Conflicted, whimsical. Not always unified. A part of her might approve of one path, while another finds it distasteful. But the path where everyone is united, where there is a glorious battle between the forces of life and the forces of, I suppose, death. Not one of her faces could turn away.
I'm sorry, Arundel. Final question. I just you used the word conflicted about Hecate just now. Do you believe that Hecate theirself, that deity, is or can be conflicted internally?
Absolutely. It's even, dare I say, it's part of how, I think, how do I say this? I was given one vision, Vivara another, and the Oracle another yet still. If there was a singular desire, then only a single omen needed to be given, but there were three. It's also partly why I believe that she tends to be largely hands-off to let fate take its course, because if she were to try and willfully influence everything, she'd be at odds with her own feelings.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Arundel. Go ahead.
No, you're okay, Chapman. Some of the questions may have even been some that I had. Though my most pressing would be, how is it you plan to take over this cult?
Force
Is it-
seems... Force would be beyond my ken. I have power, great power in fact, but to face down an entire coven of witches would be foolishness. It would take convincing. There's even a future where the Oracle seemingly accepts my leadership and willfully offers herself as a sacrifice. But I can't quite... I can't quite figure out how that would come to be. But knowing that it's possible means there's a chance.
I thought the idea was to get the witches on your side,
That remains the plan.
but
I
it's
only
killing.
know I only know one version of how it ends. The method of getting there, I kind of have to just figure out as I go along. It's not uncommon for one to simply stumble into a future without really meaning to. My point being that sometimes attempting the peaceful route can lead to more death than simply using force. A fact you probably know well yourself.
Fortunately, I do, but will
I
sacrificing this oracle lead you to become the ruler of this cult, or the leader of this cult? Will they follow you in that respect?
maybe.
Is it a
Yeah,
show of
yeah.
knowledge and power, not more efficient? The thing is,
That
having the oracle on your side, showing that you are more powerful, would be a great benefit for you. Someone here to lead in your stead while you are off doing other things.
in the visions I saw, one I saw of myself plunging the dagger into her chest and her own hand aiding me in doing so. The other, she was not even present. I don't know if her death is vital to future success, but I don't know of a future where she lives. And I'm I'm ambivalent to the prospect of killing her. She is a fellow follower of Hecate. There's nothing. It's distasteful. But, as I've said before, to the pursuit of a desired future means doing whatever is necessary. And even she herself would understand and acknowledge that. Perhaps that is even why in the vision she offered herself willingly, knowing that her death might very well have been a necessity.
So, in terms of time, we're here right now, and before we walked into this room, my understanding was that you thought this was something that needed to happen immediately, but in having the discussion, we've acknowledged that it would be foolish for us to stand against this coven of witches here in this place at this time. Do you have a grasp on the timeline for this?
Not at all. I'll say there is certainly need for urgency. Wait too long, and Ed's brother will be dead by the time we find him. And that can be considered our task failed. But to openly engage in violent conflict with the Coven now, when we have barely, only really just got back on our feet after that whole bar fight, would be equally foolish.
Agreed.
We'll just have to be careful and smart. I'm not seeking a fight here, and if my attempts at persuasion fail, then so be it. We'll just have to get to Ed's brother before they do. Prove ourselves through might rather than words in the end. Something we're already quite familiar with doing.
So immediately, though, your intention is to speak to the Oracle.
Speak to the whole coven, really. I don't expect to suddenly win over the whole cult with a single speech, but if I can at least cause a little division, win over a few more witches to our side, I'm trying to buy time. Anything extra is a bonus. If I can delay them, they may even fight amongst themselves, which will buy us even more time to find Ed's brother.
Well, in that case, I assume you know better how to talk to them than I do, so I will be here and attentive, but quiet while you address them.
Savara's advice has given me a good idea of what needs to be said. Speaking of, I suppose we should find a way out of this labyrinth and see if she's gathered everyone.
Okay. Whoever wishes to can make a survival check to guide the party out of the labyrinth.
We'll give it a shot.
Minotaur, fuck.
You said I'll do it.
I can aid or help if possible.
I mean, I
15?
threw a 15 out there.
Oh,
15.
I got a nat 20, 24.
What the fuck is with the nat 20s in this labyrinth? It was supposed to be like, the fuck?
Worst
Cool
labyrinth
shit was
ever.
supposed to happen. I
You know why?
right?
You know why this is the worst labyrinth ever? No minotaurs.
No minotaurs.
Would you
Fucking
stop with the
losers.
Minotaurs?
Yeah, Minotaur, poor Minotaurs.
We have had enough. We have enough of that on Monday night.
Yeah, I think the reason why you guys keep rolling nat 20s to get out of this place is because like there's this like hole through the bookshelves of something that has just run straight through all the bookshelves to get to the exit, and they haven't really fixed it yet. Funding's a little low for the secret cult right now.
I want to
so
believe
they're-
that getting rid of the other cult has given us like anti-labyrinth abilities.
I guess so, right? Like Baphomet's just like not talking to you guys.
Right.
Whatever, guys.
Get out! Get out! Out!
You guys totally ruined the vibe of my labyrinths, man.
We don't have any Baffy enemies left in this group, though, do we? We had 2 at some point.
Yeah.
Not anymore. You guys expunged all the evil,
I mean, I
it seems.
did technically like desecrate the labyrinth before we left the Rock of Brawl.
That's
So I
true.
just like co-opted his power for a little bit.
Oh, this power.
My labyrinth now. I know how to navigate them.
My labyrinth, bitch. Incredible. Okay, fantastic. So you easily make it out of the labyrinth because, like, what's a labyrinth? Like, am I right? What the fuck is it? Nothing to worry about is what it is. You guys get out of there, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Vivara will indeed be waiting for you at the exit. She says, "You all really like to read. I'm getting the sense of you're all really big readers, or you're just very vain. Which do we think it is?"
Bit of both in my case.
Well, let's not keep everyone waiting. They have all gathered in the Hall of Shadows. So, whatever it is you want to say, good luck.
Lead the way.
She doesn't
As
need.
we are walking through, before we get there, I am going to cast Enhance Ability on Etherith.
Ooh, yay.
Oh, baby! Fantastic. You do so. Etherith. You come to the Hall of Shadows, the underground chamber that is lined with obsidian pillars. Man, it's not nearly as cool as all this, but I don't know, we'll use it anyway. Obsidian pillars that appear to stretch into infinity when seen from the right angle. The central floor is an intricate mosaic of the phases of the moon, which pulse faintly well, they don't actually right now. The moonlit altar stands at the center, and a massive stone slab inscribed with Hecate's sigils. Arcane or candles hover in the air, flickering with no visible source of why they should be floating. Flames light the center, but again, there is no flames lit as the candle, almost a sourceless flame, an invisible flame, illuminates the room. And we're going to see what the turnout was like. Oops. That's the try. Oh, shit. Navarre rolled pretty good. So let's see here. It's a busy, busy day at the cult. But you guys are going to see... there's about 13 witches who have gathered in the central sanctum. You have no idea the actual size of the cult or however many people are present today. But you are going to see 11 have gathered. You're going to recognize some of the faces. You will all recognize High Oracle Isara is indeed present at the altar. You're going to see Nixoros, the lantern bearer, who you met outside, who sent the shadow hound on you that was stopped, is present. You, Arendil, are going to recognize Callistra, standing amongst them. Everyone will take note of Callistra. Certainly the most uniquely appearanced individual present by any measure. From those of you who are familiar with the Faerun pantheon, some of you are look at her like she's like Selune herself in her moonlit silvery beauty, but you recognize her personally. I don't know. And the High Oracle will say, as it is the right of any who calls themselves worshippers of Hecate, may call a meeting amongst the witches as it is in any faith of this pantheon. Our guest, most auspicious, Ethereth, has called this coven to meeting. You may speak for you to.
I step forward up to the altar.
So you do.
I tap my staff on the floor a couple of times. Greetings to you all. I know I come to you as a stranger, a traveler from across the Silver Sea of Stars. My name is Ethereth, spawn of Hecate, and aura of the Prophet's Demise. You have all been presented a crossroads to determine the fate of the Man of Stone. Life or death. It is I who carry the omen of life. I was brought into this world through a ritual cast by Hecate herself. Once simply a juvenile dragon, given sapience and life and turned to what you see now. Given a singular vision. There is an illithid known simply as the Prophet out beyond the stars. And I, as part of the crew of the Prophet's Demise, have been bid to guide the captain of the Prophet's Demise, Ed Jord, to a final legendary confrontation that Hecate herself might be so entertained to witness. My captain, indeed, is the brother of the Stone Man. It is my belief that there is a future that would please all three of Hecate's faces. And for this future to come to pass, Ed's brother must live. It has been an arduous journey getting here. In realm space, we have fought illithid, confronted dragons, cured diseases of celestial whales, lost ship after ship, gone to aquatic planes, scoured the astral sea, broken out of illithid jails twice over. This journey is a myth still in the making, and should conclude with a battle worthy of Hecate's witness. We have made allies in our travels, And even just now, I received an omen most intriguing. The cult of Hecate itself, alongside so many others, out in wild space, bearing down on an illithid army. Moments before a mighty clash that will ring throughout history for years and years to come. But that future will turn to dust. An untrodden path, should death win out the day. So, I come to you now in an effort to bend destiny to my will and persuade you all that the path of life is the correct one.
The high or first off, make me persuasion check. You have advantage because of Ethreth.
That is so I dodged in that one, but yeah, that's 14.
Nice. 14. You half expected them to whoop and holler, and are quickly reminded that, you know, the witches of Hecate are a somewhat quiet bunch. They are not as glorious as, or glory seeking as many factions and heroes of this place. They've listened to you and your words. The High Oracle will speak. She'll say, "These journeys are many, and it is clear that you have the favor and love of the gods, and certainly Hecate to have brought you to us. But how indeed do you insist upon these things? For I have received similar omens and visions. I am sure all gathered here would like to know why it is your vision of Hecate's will, that your omens that are more precise than mine."
Oh, it's very simple. I claim it by birthright. Though the manner is not conventional, I am Hecate's child. And as her progeny, it is only natural that my connection be strong, and my words and omens carry great weight.
Make me a persuasion or intimidation check advantage. They like that here.
That is 26.
26. You again, they're not a very reactive, loud bunch, these witches, but you do see what encourages you is sort of encouraged smiles on their face. That's sort of like okay, yeah, we like his style a little bit. Looking amongst each other for support. You get the sense that your words gather much. The High Oracle says, "Indeed, this carries immense weight. Your birth being of divine intention. I acknowledge this, and you for it. So," and she sort of just gestures, as if to say, keep going. if you have more to say.
Um, Ultimately, the choice is still yours. And I would never think to tell anyone here not to walk the path that they believe to be the correct one. It is the duty of all followers of Hecate to pursue the path that they deem right, the path that they themselves wish to walk. Understand that I choose, well, as the bringer of the omen of life, I will do everything in my power to ensure it comes to pass. While we are in these halls, in this sacred place, I will never raise a hand against any of you. But once the pursuit begins, and I and my companions seek out the Stone Man, there will be no quarter. The path of life must be walked, and I will brook no deviations.
Fuck. Make me an intimidation check
Yes.
to finish her off.
Yeah.
Go with advantage.
That is 17.
17. We'll roll a little. You do see, there is a mix of emotions here. There is a mix of admiration, of belief. There is power in this dominating force you have brought to them. It's a lot of what you want to see. There is a mix of fear. Long and short of it, there's a mix of fear and love for what you have said.
Hell yeah.
There is intimidated by your presence. They are intimidated by your lineage. They're intimidated by the favor Hecate has shown to you. But there is, in equal turn for all of these things, interest and understanding now. You are, to put it short, you get the reaction you want. You feel your influence tighten on these present here. And these words will surely spread to others who are abound. The High Oracle will speak and say, "This prophet Etherith speaks well, and comes from grand lineage, it is true. Heed his words as many of you have heard mine. It is your decision to make. What is to be done next? What is the will of Hecate, and which of her wills shall you follow? There are omens to decide upon, words to heed. So go now, and choose wisely." The people begin to disperse. But there is, as they do, Etherith, it's not like a cold shoulder situation. Like, they leave. Some of them stay and discuss in the corner. Little cliques begin to form of individuals sort of discussing what they've heard. If you step down, you maybe get a little nod of approval, of satisfaction from those who pass you by. You get the sense you have gained great respect this day.
I look actually what time is it at this point?
You don't know. You're in some interior space. You're also underground.
Yeah.
Very easily you could have lost track. If the question is, are you tired?
Yeah.
It's getting, as you step down from everything, you feel the weight of all you've experienced today, to be sure.
Oracle, is there perhaps a place here that my companions and I might rest?
She says, yes, you may. There is... she'll tell you where to go. She says, where do they stay? That's the testing grounds, that's the grove. She simply directs you to like a dormitory, essentially. Yeah, it's fine. Because you may sleep amongst the others, and we'll just again direct you to some dormitory. There's nothing particularly fancy.
One other thing. The mirror in the labyrinth.
Yes.
Have you ever looked into it yourself?
There are a few in these halls, or how these halls who have not. I have looked to it many times and saw many fates.
Myself. It showed me a path long dead, something that could never be or ever will be. The person who made that artifact, what was it? Exilian. Do you know why he would do such a thing?
I would have thought that answer would be obvious. To better understand Hecate. I never met him. I never knew him personally, but I can only expect that's why. Perhaps even at the word of Hecate, if not of his own volition.
I just imagine that somehow it might have been just a punishment for oneself, or a cost for looking into the future to witness the consequence of one's failure or indecision.
She'll raise a firm finger and say, understand this. That mirror does not give us prophecy. It does not give us the will of the fates. It is not the eyes of horror that we look through. It is not a thing of prophecy. It is but the sight of Hecate that you see. What could be, what might have been, but never will be unless you pursue it. Prophecies, in essence, yes, though they are. Hecate has a long sight, though not a prophetic one. And that is what she reveals. What she foresees at the end of roads and behind doors, and nothing more. What you see in that mirror could be illusion, could be figment, but could be made real. Fate we do not control. Fate is woven, and prophecy explains those fates. What you saw is possibility. Nothing more, nothing less.
Thank you. And I'm just gonna roll something really quickly. I saw you, us, our fates intertwined.
And is that so strange?
Not at all. We walk opposing paths in the service of the same goal. It makes sense that the threads of fate should twine together. But what I saw was, as you say, the conclusion of a path walked, and I could not quite ascertain what would drive you to such an end.
Nor I. What you saw in the mirror was for you to see, and you to share with who you will. If my fate is woven with yours, I would remind you that what you saw is possibility. Prediction. Something worth controlling. It is foresight.
That it is.
Regardless of our, shall we say, rivalry, Etherith, you seem worthy of the witch goddess, and she has deemed you worthy, and so you have my respect.
As you have mine. Thank you again for all you've done. And may the right path be walked.
And she will be a little nod of the head. She'll say, but may I warn you, as I leave now, Ethrith, do not let the politics of our cult blind you. As you sit and you persuade our cult to your path, which is a fine measure, there are many factions who seek out this brother of Yord. While we stand and we make our declarations of who is loved more by Hecate, there are those empowered by Ares who would slaughter Yord. And perhaps my prophecy will come to pass, as it seems there are many who support my way. But there are some who support yours. Rest, take respite, but spend not too much time bludgeoning yourself with cult politics, or you will potentially miss your chance. And fate will decide his fate for you. So, rest well.
Thank you.
She will depart. As you do so, the blonde, the white-haired woman with silver markings across her body stands at the back of the room and is kind of watching you. And as you are available, Etherith, she will approach and she will say to you, she will kind of, won't bow or anything like that, but she does look at you, and again in her whisper, like voice as if telling a secret, she will say, Prophet Etherith, welcome. We have not had the chance to meet, but I thought we should.
To whom do I have the pleasure?
I am Callistra, demigod of Hecate. I have not met a sibling of mine before. You may not have her blood, but you are my brother, if what you say is true.
I'm surprised. I would have thought that a daughter of Hecate would be, well,
Darker, thicker eyeshadow.
no, seated at the top.
Devotion is for the one who sits at the top. I may be born of my mother, but I am not her.
I'm almost
I don't need-
curious.
Go ahead, sorry.
I'm curious what sort of vision she gives to you.
What vision she gives to me.
Does she not speak to you in your dreams like she does to me? Blood moons, and so.
No, she used to, but I've kindly asked her to let me have at least one place where I don't need to see her omens flashing themselves in front of me. I try and leave my world of dreams as respite, as she is so fond of showing up and saying hello. I love my mother, but, well, I hope you won't take offense when I say she can be a pain in the ass sometimes.
I think my father would perhaps agree with you.
It is often the path of children to rebel against their parents. I don't need to be a grand leader to have powerful connection to Hecate. I was born with it, like her not. So if you have eyes upon it, and by your speech it sounds like you do, congratulations.
I have aspirations, ambition. More so now than ever before, really. Perhaps echoes of a life gone by, but perhaps also self-preservation. I might be a child, but perhaps my original intention was as a tool, an instrument to enact our mother's will. But I'm not content to simply be that. There is time beyond prophecy. There is always something that comes after. And here, in this place, I'd like to think there is something for me here after all is said and done. Or perhaps even another interesting chapter in my own story.
She's really got you wrapped around her finger, doesn't she?
She's been very attentive.
I'm sure she appreciates that. Devotion. Well, good evening.
Is that all? Is there nothing else you wish to ask?
No. I'm sure you'll... No, not really. I don't know. Is there something else I'm supposed to ask? I've had a sibling before. And with all due respect, you sing the same song that many around here do. Follow the path, dance under the moon, cast your spells, That's good. I'm sure it will take you far. But I'll see you around, so I'm not going anywhere.
Well, then take good care, sister.
She almost considers as if she's trying to decide if she likes that or not. And she just kind of shrugs. Like almost to herself, not to you, but to herself, like and kind of steers back into the labyrinth of passages of the hiding place of the cult. And with that, we will call our session to the end. Cult politics and prophecies. My goodness.
Sorry, after a rest, we go back to killing squid people.
Yeah. Well, that was nice. Let's go murder some people.
This
I
is
believe
fun.
some
This is
murder.
fun.
Yeah. Man, I didn't expect this arc to make such philosophers out of you all. I like it though. I'm very, very happy to see it. It's cool. It's interesting.
As
Well, as soon as
Bisan
it
wrestles, like, what is the difference between faith and slavery?
Faith and slavery.
Questions.
Yeah, you guys are turning into right philosophers. There's nothing wrong with that. Hey, I want to put out there for you guys, if you're enjoying this arc, Tyranny of Dragons is coming to an end, and it's going to be replaced with a new game called Olympia, which is on one half going to be Greek mythological politics, and on the other half, glorious questing, where there will be some myths relived, Theseus, Hercules, the Trojan War, so on and so forth. The party will have the ability to influence the histories, maybe have sort of meta insight into what will come, and have the ability to change events. Perhaps Poseidon wins the homage of Athens due to your influence. If anyone had interest in joining Tuesday night game and being demigods and being within the, the power struggle of the Greek gods and influencing mythology and history and earning glory, feel free to consider. I got a couple seats up.
What night?
Time to run that one at?
That
said
sounds
Tuesday
amazing.
night.
Yeah.
It is Tuesday, 7 till 11:30 Eastern, which is the normal evening hours. I think a little late for you there, John.
Sorry, yes, that is.
Yes, sorry, yeah, unfortunately, but nonetheless. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there if those interest anybody, and it's possible for anybody. I've got seats open, and I'm going to start recruiting for it, and you guys felt like the place to start. We are a couple weeks out from that being kicked out, so just want to put that out there. And hey, as a reminder, if it's not for you or you can't attend, and you know people who are interested, let them know. And as always, there will be some free sessions for those who can recruit players who will make it to session 1. So just putting that out there, putting a little advertisement out, and we'll be doing so in the group as well. But